Hi guys, my name is Tatiana, Life and Global Wellness, and in today's video I would like to show you the difference, how you can work with the same images, reading them as oracle cards or as metaphorical cards. I hope thanks to this video you will get a more clear idea what the difference is between metaphorical cards and oracle cards. Here is the deck which was given to me by a friend as a gift. It has various images and slightly surreal, but they can be a good example also for metaphorical cards decks. There is a whole book with definitions. So what I will do now is that I will take a certain question and I will answer it reading them as metaphorical cards. And then we will check what the oracle card is saying and we'll compare it. Last year I started working on a deck of metaphorical cards and I was hoping to finish it in time, but due to some overload of studies which I had, I put it off, and so now I want to get it done. So in this video I want to explore what stops me from keeping my work on this metaphorical card deck and also what can help me to move it forward. So I will choose two cards as answers to these questions and I will do it blindly without looking at the cards. Okay, so these are the cards, so I'll show you one by one. So this card is the answer to the question, what prevents me from moving forward? So in a way, what blocks me, right? So let me think about it. It actually puzzled me. This card was not very easy to read. So I will remind you the principle. When we work with images as metaphorical cards, messages which contain a metaphor, we do not look into certain meanings. Even if it's an oracle deck, I'm going to just look at the card and read it as I feel. So because I was sort of puzzled what is there which prevents me from creating my metaphorical deck, and that can happen, by the way, when working with metaphorical cards as well, when you do not know what it means. So my question to myself was who I associated myself with, what kind of element of the picture speaks more to me. And at first I noticed that tube which the bird has and it kind of prevents it from flying. And another thing I noticed which puzzled me, but it was fun in a way, is that this phone which was fit into a bottle. So how I read it in the end is that what I'm trying to do, what slows me down, is that after choosing a set of images and I wanted to narrow them down, I'm trying to guess too much how other people will read those cards, what they will see there, what messages they will see. Whereas it's so individual, it's a process of a different, unique session, and you cannot guess in advance what people will see there. So instead of flying as this bird might be, I am trying to balance awkwardly here on this bottle, preventing it from delivering the message. So my take from it is that I'm going too deep into the cards and trying to second guess too much. So in this tube also I'm trying to kind of do a few things at the same time, looking into details here, whereas this bottle has a message, it has already a meaning for someone. So let other people read that meaning for themselves. Okay, so I have this second card here. What can help me to complete that deck, or at least to print out my draft compilation and test it in practice, which was my plan. So I thought at first it's sort of like a partnership, some kind of play and collaboration in a way. And then I read the message of exchanging gifts, and in this case it worked quite well to help me to connect to my situation. I plan to exchange with a few colleagues our decks and test them in practice. And I think what can help me is to create a test version of my deck, and before releasing it to the whole world, you know, as a finalized product, to give it to a few colleagues and then ask them to test it in work and see what's missing and what's good there. So maybe that can help me to decide whether it is complete and enough to work for the specific purposes which I intended it to be. All right? So that is how I read the cards in the way how I would work with metaphorical cards. Even though we used an oracle card deck, in this case it doesn't really matter. Now part 2 would be to take a look to compare at what the oracle deck actually is reading from the oracle perspective. And let's see. All right, so now from the oracle perspective, I read the first card. This was card number 15, this one. And here was the message. I'm not going to read it because it's just too much to read, but essentially it was about signs, that there will be a sign, whether it comes through some logo or message or some phrase through another person or whatever. Spirit sends you signs when you ask for them, when you believe you will receive them, and when you allow yourself to become fluent in the language of symbols, oracles, and omens. They may come to you as a bird flying by, a logo on a truck, and a song on the radio. Expect confirmation that you are pointed in the right direction. Keep your ears open, for someone might say just the right thing that will give you the answer to your query. Today, your message is this: Spirit hears you and your reply is favorable. It's kind of nice. There are also messages for relationship, prosperity, and protection message. I think I got the idea that in a way I just need to look into signs, and maybe it will give me some answers. And because I like things like that, and it's kind of attuned to shamanic practices as well, and it's a nice message in a way. So let's take a look at the second one. So the second card was exchanging gifts, and I read the oracle message here. It was interesting. So basically it's about exchange, as it could be expected, and about give and take, and the law of giving and receiving, currency, trade-offs, weighing costs and determining value. You are entering into productive and enriching time when all manner of opportunities are being offered to you. And also there was a message that your work will be rewarded, and in a way which you didn't anticipate, which is kind of fun, I think, and interesting to have. Yes, so basically both of these messages have value. Even though I practice mainly counseling with metaphorical cards, I use sometimes oracle cards and tarot for myself, and I do respect these ancient methods because it helps people in some way. For client work, I do prefer metaphorical cards because it's my method, but for yourself, I think both can work well. The only thing what I noticed about oracle cards is that often when I read some oracle cards, I would go and I forget quite easily. But if you read them yourself as metaphorical cards, you might remember this message better than the oracle ones. The advantage of working with metaphorical cards also is that in a certain situation, you can look at the cards again and see something different. So there is always some potential to read the card in a different way. So that's why I like working with metaphorical cards. I chose for this video to show you on an oracle card deck, but when we work with other decks, for example, you see it, so also you can see different types of images. All right, you can read them differently. Why I like some oracle cards though is that certain decks offer a little bit more varieties than some decks of metaphorical cards, which can be an advantage if you work with clients who like this type of imagery. If people prefer images which are a little bit more straightforward or closer to reality rather than surreal, then you can choose a deck of metaphorical cards or an oracle deck which has more down-to-earth imagery. Now, to be fair to the method of oracle card reading and tarot reading, I think sometimes it's nice to just get a message from the universe, so to speak, versus trying to get it yourself. So if people prefer that, I have nothing to oppose that. It's totally fine, but I highly recommend you also to explore a way to work with these cards to actually look at what you see there. Okay? Hope this example helped to illustrate the difference how we work with them in this approach. It's really quite easy. It just takes some practice and you will get hang of it. So now it's interesting that after reading already the oracle cards meaning, I actually realized that there is one more thing which I see in that card when I looked at it. So I remember that what slowed me down is actually I couldn't manage to do pre-press correctly, to figure out how to put the card with this bleed and whatever. So another take from it also is that I can make an exchange with someone of services, for example, and maybe they can also help me figure out how to prepare my cards for printing them in that test format. Alright guys, let me know in the comments which method you prefer and what you've tried, and if you are willing to make this experiment yourself and take a couple of cards and choose a certain question. Try to not to guess fortune telling, but really choose something practical. Maybe follow my pattern, which I did, and that way you can figure out what works better for you and what not. So I will keep doing reviews on metaphorical cards, and also later I will add reviews of some of the oracle cards which I use. You will learn more about how to use this method. Like, subscribe, comment, keep your practice and explore metaphorical cards. Have a great day.